strength. He's good at setting traps. Has crazy power that he believes in. He has a great chin too because he's a guy. He'll let you get out punches and he'll still be coming at you. And then once he catches you, it's a wrap.
Great. Crawford's one of the best switch hitters, I think, since Marvin Hagler, and one of the most skillful boxers alive.
He has very good skills. He's one of my favorite boxers. He able to win this fight.
Errol Spence was left speechless after witnessing Terence Crawford's insane training for the upcoming Canelo fight. As someone who's gone toe-to-toe with him, Spence praised Crawford's next-level ring IQ and elite skill set. But what truly stunned him was Crawford's recent training footage. Blazing speed, pinpoint precision, and footwork that looked like pure magic. Crawford wasn't just training, he was unleashing. Sharp, explosive, and locked in like never before. This version of Crawford is a whole different beast. One Canelo simply can't afford to overlook. When Terence Crawford looked back on his clash with Errol Spence, the mutual respect between the two champions was undeniable. Known for his calm, calculated approach in the ring, Crawford highlighted how his strategy revolves around breaking opponents down round by round, mentally and physically, before unleashing explosive, fight-ending combinations. It's chess, not checkers. And against Spence, Crawford proved exactly why he's a master of the game.
How hard does Spence hit?
He didn't hit that hard.
But he never caught you that clean. That was probably the best shot he landed.
No, he caught me a couple of times, but I was surprised at how hard he didn't hit.
Really?
Given that everybody say, "Oh, he's a big puncher," he's this. I think he's just a volume puncher. I think he just wears opponents down, just wear them down. I don't think he has a one punch knockout. He have power, but it's not like boom, sleep. I think it's like bam, oh, boom, 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 boom. Then he just wear you down.
Right. Yeah. That is a difference, right?
Because if you look at his career, you never seen him like knock nobody out with one punch. You never see him, dropping nobody with one punch. You always see him like wearing them down. That's why he goes so hard to the body, because he want to wear you down. Then once you get tired and once your body start weakening, everything started weakening. And those little punches that wasn't hurting start hurting.
Former world champion and boxing analyst Chris Algieri offered a sharp take when comparing Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Algieri noted that while Crawford has consistently dominated his opponents with total control and ring generalship, Canelo has shown vulnerability, particularly in fights where he's been bossed around. A prime example, Algieri pointed out, was Canelo's loss to Dimitri Bivol, where Bivol's size, jab, and tactical discipline kept Canelo on the back foot. Algieri's analysis underscores the idea that Crawford, despite moving up in weight, brings a style built on control, adaptability, and technical precision, qualities that have historically given even elite fighters like Canelo serious trouble.
And Terence Crawford, who do you think can be the boss that night? When you talk about these two guys, you talk about two guys, number one, you can't boss me around.
Yep.
Two guys, you can't even look at me a certain way without me feeling some type of way. These guys now have set their sights on one another. Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Obviously, we know the weight difference, but we've seen Crawford, looks like he's coming up slowly to that weight class and kind of acclimating himself in real time. How do you see that fight playing out?
We're still pretty far away from that fight, and I'm going to hold my complete analytics on that, but I'll tell you this.
Contrast and compare, maybe not a pick.
But I'll tell you this. I've seen Canelo pushed around. I've never seen Terence pushed around. So if we're talking about who's going to be the boss, I've never seen anyone boss Terence Crawford. I've seen Canelo get bossed. So that just psychologically, when you think about that, and this is a fight where I flip-flop on both guys because there's so many good points. Yeah, but he's 168. Yeah, but it's Terence Crawford. He's undefeated. Well, yeah, but this guy's beating this, but stylistic. Even he hits him on the arm. There's so many different things you can talk about. But from a psychological standpoint, who's fresher, who's meaner, who wants it more. You know, that's good. That's gonna come into play.
As a boxing fan, how much fun is it to see those two attitudes come together? It's kind of like the unstoppable force versus the immovable object. Get ready to collide.
I've worked a lot of Canelo fights, and Canelo fight weeks are great. He plays to the crowd really well. His fans are awesome. I'm thinking about the Caleb Plant situation. I'm thinking about the Billy's Joe Saunders situation. When he gets that in his head that he's got an extra chip, he becomes a really dangerous man.
Veteran commentator Max Kellerman delivered a balanced and insightful breakdown of the Canelo versus Crawford showdown. While acknowledging that both fighters bring unique strengths to the table, Kellerman leaned toward Terence Crawford when assessing recent performances and overall skill set. He praised Crawford's elite timing, switch-hitting versatility, and surging knockout power, attributes that have reached their peak in recent years. On the other hand, he noted that while Canelo remains a top-tier talent, signs of decline have begun to show, especially in his movement and aggression. Kellerman also recognized Canelo's size advantage, which could play a significant role in clinches and exchanges. But factoring in speed, precision, defense, and adaptability, Kellerman ultimately viewed Crawford as the more complete and currently sharper fighter.
Counterpunching. But overall, I have to say Crawford. If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford. What Canelo has is size, and as a result, physical strength and punching power. Canelo also has a great chin. But in terms of, if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford. But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton than Crawford. No matter what they weigh, Canelo's the bigger guy.
Yeah. You briefly mentioned Canelo's power, so who I would assume Canelo has.
You'd have to think, unless Crawford was on a knockout streak until he moved up to junior middleweight and then failed to stop Madrimov. So, and Canelo, though he has not stopped anyone in a while, we've seen he's a real puncher at 68.
As far as speed, who has a better speed?
You would imagine Crawford, given the fact that he is the naturally smaller fighter.
The dynamics of this mega fight are truly compelling. Terence Crawford is venturing into uncharted waters by moving up in weight, a move that often threatens a fighter's speed, stamina, and overall sharpness. But while Crawford faces a physical challenge, Canelo Alvarez brings his own set of questions. Though highly experienced at this weight, Canelo is no longer the explosive powerhouse of his prime. In recent bouts, he's leaned more on measured control than the relentless pressure that once defined him, and his knockout rate has noticeably dipped. This evolving version of Canelo may give Crawford the opening he needs. If Crawford shows up with his trademark footwork, high fight IQ, and deep gas tank, he has a very real path to victory. The risk is real, but so is the opportunity.
For Canelo, obviously at 168, he has been a bit of the smaller man at that weight class. And in the last couple of years has had trouble finishing opponents and getting guys out of there like he would have at 160 or 154. So you have a bit of a duality there. Both guys coming into this fight in the, let's say, twilight of their careers, or maybe twilight of their primes, however you want to look at it. Canelo is going to be, I think, 35. Terence is 38. So you have a similar situation, different paths, and different struggles for both fighters. But when you look at who has to do more in this fight, it's clearly Terence Crawford, as far as what he's giving up and sacrificing to win this third undisputed championship and to try to beat Canelo, who has only been beat twice in his career, one of which was Floyd Mayweather being slick and tagging Canelo with counter punches when Canelo missed, being the smaller, lighter fighter and up there in age that was still able to take advantage of the youth and experience of Canelo Alvarez, but also just being a defensive maestro and able to counter off of that Floyd is one of one. And then you have Dimitri Bivol, who was the bigger fighter. And the things that Canelo does very well didn't really hurt him too bad, right? The things that had carried Canelo up in division was his power and the ability to break an opponent down, maybe not stopping them in the early to mid part of fight.
Rising boxing star Abdullah Mason has thrown his support behind Terence Crawford, boldly predicting not just a win, but one that could shock the boxing world. Mason highlighted a key element often overlooked: Crawford's power. While much of the pre-fight narrative centers around Canelo's size advantage and perceived strength, Mason flipped that script, arguing that Crawford's power, generated through flawless timing, sharp angles, and surgical precision, could prove even more dangerous. According to Mason, if Crawford lands clean shots consistently, especially as the fight drags into the later rounds, fans might witness an upset far more dramatic than expected.
I'll say Canelo Crawford, your prediction quickly.
Canelo Crawford. I got faith that Crawford can take it. I feel like Crawford, he might surprise some people with his strength. So it all depends on who's the better fighter that night.
Dimitri Bivol, the man who handed Canelo Alvarez one of his most humbling defeats, recently offered high praise for Terence Crawford. Having observed Crawford closely, Bivol remarked on how impressively he's bulked up and pointed out that Crawford possesses the tools needed to win this fight. And when someone of Bivol's caliber, who's been in the ring with Canelo and come out victorious, backs a fighter, it carries serious weight. He emphasized Crawford's discipline, speed, and ring IQ as key factors that could tip the balance. Bivol's endorsement is a strong signal that this fight is far more competitive than some may think on paper.
In Dubai, maybe a month ago, I saw him. He's big, and he has very good skills. He's one of my favorite boxers. He able to win this fight, but there is a lot of but, and even not but. There is a lot of things, small things, which we don't know how he will deal with this. He need to get used to the power and pressure of 168 because it's different, big difference, to be honest. Maybe he will get used to it, and how he will be feeling himself on the same day when he will fighting, how his training camp will go on, a lot of things. But he's able, he has good skills, he's awkward, he can use two boxing stance. It gives him benefits, of course.
I was at that same event in Dubai just before Christmas, and I saw him too, and I thought exactly the same thing, which is that he is quite big.
Yeah.
Size obviously is important. Jamal Charlo stepped up from super welterweight to super middleweight to box Canelo, and it didn't work at all for him. But Crawford is, I mean, he's one of the best fighters in the world, isn't he? I mean, obviously
Keith Thurman offered a sharp, nuanced perspective on the Crawford versus Canelo clash. While the matchup might appear evenly balanced to casual fans, Thurman argued that a deeper technical breakdown reveals key disparities. He pointed to Canelo's recent bout with Jermall Charlo, noting how Canelo struggled once Charlo began using intelligent movement and footwork. Despite being the aggressor, Canelo had difficulty cutting off the ring and landing clean shots. Thurman believes this is a telling sign, because if Charlo's ring IQ gave Canelo problems, Crawford, who is even more cerebral, adaptive, and surgical in his approach, could present even greater challenges. According to Thurman, Crawford's strategic brilliance might be the X factor that tilts this fight in his favor.
And, you know, we ain't getting punched in the face, so let's just watch the show and enjoy, people. You know what I'm saying? Let's just watch what these champions do. No matter what they do, they're both great. They're both going to continue to be great, but by the end of the day, one will be above the other.
Your eyes?
It's not like, I think a lot of people are going to lean towards Canelo. I don't want to say it's like, I feel like for the fans, it's it's coming off 50-50. Like it's hard for me to really commit, because this is what happened, right? When Canelo just fought the Charlo, right? When he just fought Charlo, he knocked Charlo down. But after he knocked Charlo down and Charlo was using ring movement, he never hit Charlo with another big shot, okay? This is what Keith Thurman is watching. I'm not saying like, oh, Canelo didn't do good. Like, Canelo dominated. That fight he dominated, right? But let's just pay attention to little details, right? After he got dropped, he never got hurt again. Why, you ask? Why did Canelo not hurt him again? Oh, because he was on his bike, because he was using lateral movement, because he was watching with his eyes, and because he was being, you know, attentive with his defense, and he was able to make Canelo miss, but he was not able to make him pay.
On his podcast, Joe Rogan, joined by comedian and fellow boxing enthusiast Mike Vecchione, offered glowing praise for Terence Crawford. Rogan described Crawford as a great and dangerous athlete, emphasizing his elite skill set, relentless work ethic, and razor-sharp mentality. He noted that the Canelo fight isn't just a massive challenge. It's a defining moment both financially and historically for Crawford. Rogan didn't hold back, stating that Terence Crawford is arguably one of the greatest boxers alive today. He highlighted how this fight could be the moment that cements Crawford's legacy among the all-time greats. Crawford, in his own words, showed the mindset of a champion. He acknowledged the size difference and admitted that Canelo might try to wear him down with pressure and physicality. But rather than appearing intimidated, Crawford radiated calm confidence. He made it clear he's preparing for every scenario. This blend of humility, respect for the challenge, and unshakable self-belief is what makes Crawford so dangerous. He's not just ready physically, he's locked in mentally. And that, as Rogan noted, is what separates good fighters from legends.
Feeling good, work has been going great, and fight time we're gonna be prepared to put on a great show for you guys.
Has this been in your mind? We've been talking about it forever. Did you feel like this was eventually going to be the case, that you and Canelo were going to eventually get in there?
Not at all. Not at all. I didn't, think it was, a fight that he wanted. So I didn't really know. But, thanks to Turkey, Alashik, he made it possible. And, we got one of the biggest fights in the last decade, happening at Allegiant Stadium, September 13th.
When you get in there, what do you expect? Everyone's going to make, a size difference, but what do you expect when you get in there with Canelo?
I'm expecting Canelo to be Canelo. He's the bigger man. I expect him to, box a little bit, but I also expect him, to try to walk me down and be the bigger man. So, we expect everything in there.
I was looking it up, and I think the last time Bud Crawford was an underdog for a fight was the Prescott fight back in 2013. Any difference? Do you even pay attention to odds, or that doesn't matter to you when you step in there into the ring that night?
No, it definitely don't matter. The odds can't fight for him, so, it is what it is.
Actor and martial artist Michael Jai White also shared his thoughts on the upcoming super fight, and he's firmly backing Terence Crawford to come out on top. For White, the reasoning is straightforward. Crawford has been in high-pressure situations before and always rises to the occasion. Despite moving up in weight, White pointed out that Crawford has consistently proven he can handle bigger opponents by neutralizing their strengths with superior strategy and technique. This isn't new territory for Crawford, White said. It's just a new name and a bigger stage. He expressed full confidence that Crawford will remain calm under pressure and deliver the kind of performance he's known for: calculated, vicious, and surgically precise.
So you would put your money on Crawford?
Yes.
You make money.
Okay.
Just put that out there.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think Crawford's going to beat him?
Because Crawford could find people to fight like Canelo, who is amazing. Canelo has oh my God, like he evolved. I saw from I mean, how he evolved defensively and everything. I just don't think he's as fast as Crawford. And I think Crawford is just a little step ahead as far as movement is concerned. And so I think it's going to be Mayweather Canelo Part 2. That's what I think.
I mean, Canelo is naturally heavier.
Yeah, Crawford ain't gonna knock him out.
Huh.
But I don't know if Canelo's gonna land very solidly on Crawford.
Calvin Ford, renowned trainer of Gervonta Tank Davis, offered high praise for Terence Crawford's decision to take on such a monumental challenge. Ford highlighted that it takes a rare kind of fighter, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, to step into a bout where the odds, the weight, and the pressure are all stacked against you. According to Ford, that's exactly what sets Crawford apart from the rest. It's not just about skill. It's about the courage to pursue greatness. Even when the path is steep and the risks are enormous, the Crawford's willingness to confront giants, both literally in size and figuratively in legacy, reflects a fighter who's not chasing paychecks, but purpose. It's that legacy-driven mindset Ford emphasized that truly defines champions.
The best example for him.
Last question for you. Crawford, Canelo, who wins?
Man, both of them guys are great. I respect Canelo. I respect Crawford to jump in and take a big fight like that, and that's what makes great fights, to see the big fights and wondering which side gonna win. But like I said, they say Canelo's the GOAT. I remember when Canelo fought Floyd. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we're getting another chance at seeing Crawford fight Canelo.
Veteran trainer Robert Garcia offered a candid take on Canelo Alvarez's evolving approach in the ring. He noted that, unlike the younger version of Canelo who relentlessly hunted for knockouts, today's Canelo fights with more calculation, focused on winning rounds, conserving energy, and avoiding unnecessary damage. Garcia attributed this strategic shift to age and a desire for long-term career longevity. While Canelo remains highly effective, this more measured style might not bring the same relentless pressure Crawford is preparing for. According to Garcia, if Crawford can recognize and exploit that slower, more conservative pace, especially with his speed, movement, and timing, the momentum of the fight could swing decisively in his favor.
Look, it's just Canelo doesn't go out for the knockout anymore. Canelo's just now. We've seen in the last few fights, he just does enough to win. He did the same again, Munguia. He dropped Munguia, but then they didn't want to finish him. Charlo, Berlanga. He wants to cruise through the fight. He's up there, in not in age because he's only like 33 or 34, but he's
fighting since 15.
15. A lot of training camps, a lot of sparring matches. So all that takes a lot out of your body. So he takes care of his body too. So he doesn't go all out because he doesn't want to just finish his body. He knows he still has a few more years and a few big fights where he wants to take care of himself and not punish himself too much. That's why he hasn't been able to knock those guys out. Not because he can't. I think he just does enough to win. I think Shiraz also has great power, man. I think Shiraz has the power.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned for more exclusive boxing breakdowns, insider takes, and all the latest on Crawford versus Canelo. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who do you think takes this historic clash? See you in the next one.